President Bola Tinubu has emerged as the All Progressives Congress presidential candidate for the 2027 general election after securing nearly 11 million votes in the party's nationwide primary election. The results, drawn from all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, showed President Tinubu in a commanding lead over fellow aspirant Stanley Osifo, cementing his dominance within the ruling party ahead of the next electoral cycle. All right, staying with politics, of course, the David Mark-led African Democratic Congress, ADC, is holding its nationwide direct presidential primary election for the 2027 general elections today, Monday, May 25. The direct primary will take place simultaneously across all 8,809 wards in Nigeria's 774 local government areas. Meanwhile, Atiku tells ADC Nigeria needs a president who can govern, not just trend online, as factional ADC announces Dumebi Kachiku as its presidential candidate in Abuja. All right, now the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, that's the ICPC, has explained why it denied senior African Democratic Congress leaders access to former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai in its custody, insisting the decision was procedural and not political. The clarification came after the ADC accused the ICPC of intimidation on Friday when its delegation, led by former Osun State Governor and ADC National Secretary Rauf Aregbesola, was barred from meeting Mr. El-Rufai at the Commission's Abuja headquarters. Well, still looking at developments, what was initially seen as a bold political strategy ahead of the 2027 general elections has now turned into a cautionary tale for some former members of President Bola Tinubu's cabinet. In line with a directive requiring political appointees seeking elective positions to resign from office, some ministers stepped down from the Federal Executive Council. Of the 5 prominent ministers who left their posts to contest, only a minority secured APC tickets, while others suffered losses that have left their political futures uncertain. Now let's shift our attention to Nasarawa, as the former Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu Abubakar, has said that he will contest the 2027 Nasarawa governorship election on another political platform if the APC fails to address alleged irregularities in its recent primary. Speaking to journalists in Lafia at the weekend after the declaration of the APC governorship primary results in favor of Senator Wadada as winner of the primary election, Adamu said he had formally appealed to the party's leadership over what he described as injustice in the exercise. Quite a mouthful to deal with, but I know that Sumna Sambo is more than capable, so we cross over to you. Good morning, Sumna. Welcome.
Good morning, Vimbai, and good morning to our viewers. So good to have you discussing all these political issues since morning.
Okay, Sumna, let's start with the APC presidential primaries. The president, we were told, won 10.99 votes from all the 36 states and the FCT, about 11 million votes. That's more than what he got in the last election. So which other party can get more than 11 million votes ahead of this 2027 election? Will you say that by that demonstration, the APC has already won the election? After how many people are on the voters register, when one candidate has already taken the majority from his own party, and if nobody dies, he will still get, 11 million votes. Even when we all saw that the counting process disobeyed all the simple rules of arithmetic, as we saw in the worst trending, examples on this show. And then, of course, the ministers, did they overcalculate? Because Adegoke Adelabu is out of the loop. Minister Yusuf Tuga, as he then was, is out of the loop. And then this story about El-Rufai, Nasir El-Rufai, I thought it was the court that said, look, access to him should be restricted because he still has, a number of things to sort out with the authorities. But what you hear is that, Nasir El-Rufai is being kept. It's a kind of strategy. What kind of strategy can be behind all of that? And then, of course, your assessment of the primaries, not just in APC, but also the ADC, where they had issues in Benue, Plateau, Kano, and where, there's likely to be some drama today as the ADC decides on its 3 shortlisted presidential aspirants.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abati. And I'd like to start with the positives of the primary election that's ongoing. The direct primary that's been inserted into the Electoral Act alongside the issues of consensus. I mean, that has been the one of the beauties of democracy that we're seeing as a result of the APC coming into power, because it has always been the dream of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who's of late right now, who, had always wanted to take away the party structure from the elites of the party and give it to the party members. So irrespective of the challenges that we are seeing, the fact that APC has continued, with this mode of direct primary, gives me joy personally as someone who has been observing the polity over time, that irrespective of the challenges that we have right now, the fact that party members can be given this opportunity to queue behind whoever they want through this option A4, I think is one of the wins that I'm thinking is contributing positively to the growth of our democracy. Yes, there will always be abuses, but don't forget that these issues of, the indirect primary, which is the delegate system, is what someone like Buhari had always kicked against. Now, a lot of Nigerians would have forgotten that the reason why Buhari specifically wanted this to be passed, and he didn't pass it himself until Bola Tinubu came to come and pass this Electoral Act and sign it into law, was that in 2014, when they were going for their presidential primary in Lagos State, then his chief strategist was Bola Tinubu, who is the president now. And Bola Tinubu had to work with Buhari to give a lot of concessions to governors then who had moved into the party, the likes of Rotimi Amechi and all of that. Now, those governors were very, very powerful. And because the delegate system was a popular method then, for them to agree to support Buhari then, they had to cut some deals. And in cutting those deals, Buhari was not happy that those deals had to be put in place. But Tinubu warned him that, look, if you do want to win this party primary, you don't want these powerful governors to embarrass you because you claim or you think that you're popular. The best way is for us to see how we appease them. And of course, they had a lot of IOUs. If we do come into government, we'll do this, we'll give you this and all of that. And that's how Buhari would then go ahead and emerge successfully in that primary election that was held in Lagos. But Buhari didn't like it. And he was like, once he gets into government, he was going to work to ensure that that system was changed. Now, between 2015 and 2019, they tried to work on the electoral act, but that didn't happen. But in 2021, 2022, when Oshomole was the APC national chairman, you will see that in the election that happened in Osun State, the APC governorship candidate then emerged through direct primary, despite that some governors were against it. But then the electoral act to be brought before Buhari, some powerful forces in the villa then said, no, he shouldn't sign it because of the, inclusion of the electronic transmission of election results and that direct primary has some issues. So that's the background. But Tinubu saw the good in some of these provisions and knowing that that's what Buhari wanted himself, and he actually assented to this electoral act that, has brought this to the fore. And I'm telling you that we should continue to practice this direct primary system. Over time, we'll get it right. And the process will be solidified, just like we have been practicing the delegate system since. But then, I will say that President Tinubu will be one of the happiest and luckiest persons in this sort of direct primary because he doesn't have major contenders. Let's take a look at one of the major contending, primary elections that we've had in this Fourth Republic. You go back to 2003, January 2003, when then former President Olusegun Obasanjo, then President Olusegun Obasanjo was seeking re-election. Then he had the likes of Alex Ekwueme, he had the likes of Alex Ekwueme, Barnabas Gemade, and then Abubakar Rimi challenging him. Of course, he would then go ahead to win that presidential primary with about 2,600 and something votes. Ekwueme got about 611 votes. And of course, Rimi got 100 and something votes. And Barnabas Gemade got 100 and something votes too. Now, these were formidable contenders, contending with the sitting president. I know how tough it was. I know how then President Olusegun Obasanjo had to seek the support of Atiku Abubakar, his vice president, before he could emerge. Can we liken it to the same scenario here? No. In 2011 too, when Goodluck Jonathan was the incumbent president and he was seeking re-election, he had a formidable challenger in Atiku Abubakar and Sarah Jibril. Can we say the same thing of Bola Tinubu here? I mean, it's not the same thing. So you will see that this has been the APC format that they've always had. And I'm asking Nigerians to be very, very careful, because this is the same thing that APC did in 2019, where they came to tell us that, 2018, where they came to tell us that They came to tell us that Buhari won his presidential primary with about 14 million votes. And then in the 2019 election, he would then go ahead and win the election by 15 million votes. And then you will see what happened in 2023. So it's a tendency that's being repeated here, so that whatever figure he gets from the election of party members, it will look similar to what's going to happen in the general election. But if we were to go by the voting figures that always come out from the APC, I would ask Nigerians to disregard them, because this same APC told us in 2022 we have 41 million members. At the end of the day, President Tinubu just won with 8-point-something million in 2023 general election. So let's be circumspect about the figures that are coming out. APC is not a party to be trusted with figures that come out of their processes and procedures. But as
what's the total registration of party members of the APC as we speak today? That's a question I asked at the start of the show. What's the total members registered now?
12 million. 12 million.
Okay.
It has 12 million registered members at the moment. And Tinubu is being said to have got about 11 million. 11 million. Where are those 11 million people coming from? Because a lot of these figures are being put out. You see the competition by governors. Look, I have a federal constituency.
We saw them
where the figures that were announced,
saw them being counted.
Where the figures that were announced at the presidential primary is more than that of the House of Representative primary. And you and I know that in local elections, there's more excitement than presidential primary. How come the presidential election primary outcome is more than that of, the constituency or even senatorial, when these are people who are closer to the grassroots? You can see that the governors are trying to outdo each other to want to please the president. If the president wants to win 2027 general election, he should be cautious of these figures. And I know he's a strategist, and I know he knows the game, that these people are just trying to please him. He has to go to work, because he has major contenders that are going to come from different parties, not within the APC this time around. And he should be afraid for himself. Now, going to other issues that you have raised, the issue of Nasir El-Rufai. I mean, it's very clear that the court has given directives. These are the things that should happen and all of that. But there's a lot of alarm that's ongoing among opposition leaders, that it looks like the federal government is not making its processes open. And the court itself was becoming political by saying that none other person other than El-Rufai's doctor and family members should visit him. I mean, you will know that when Awolowo, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was in prison in Calabar, he was always receiving visitors and all of that. Why does it look like El-Rufai's voice doesn't want to be counted in the build-up for the opposition towards the 2027 general election? Yeah, if he has been incarcerated temporarily, albeit while the court processes are ongoing, I mean, he should not be kept away from his political associates. So the judiciary should be very careful not to be seen as if it's being political. And then on the other issues of the ministers losing out, I think President Tinubu is following, what President Buhari had done then. Don't forget, several ministers had left Buhari's cabinet in 2018, 2019, thinking that he'll be able to anoint them for them to be able to win. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I think it's positive in such a way that it does not give room for party members to feel that they are favorites. Because a lot of people, in fact, even analysis on Arise News has shown previously that people were thinking that the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, will automatically get the ticket in Oyo State. But you can see that Sharafadin Ali, who seems to be popular with party members there, has been able to get the ticket. But then there's a gag order that the APC is giving to its members. I saw you interviewing Cletus Obo earlier. What the code or the gag rule has been that, you should continue to say to the media that it's a party affair, or I'm a loyal party member whenever the media comes to you, or don't even speak at all. There's a lot of crisis that's ongoing in the APC at the moment, just like we are going to have in the ADC too, because the ADC was unable to reach a consensus. They are having their presidential election today. That's for the INEC recognized ADC, and I pity the presidential candidate that will be emerging from that process, because the legal troubles are too much. And we wonder the sort of political experience that Atiku Abubakar has not been able to bring to the ADC. Because why would the factionalization continue this way? And why does it look like there's a seemingly strong effort to ensure that some party members step down for some others? The ADC must be scrutinized fully. We must ensure that the processes that go on, are seen clearly, like the way we've seen that of the APC, so that we can either criticize them